Hello and welcome to the Behind the Stream podcast. In this series, I talk to streamers of all sizes about their stream, their offline content, their growth strategies, and much, much more. In this episode, I talk to a streamer that goes by the name Yikes, a Call of Duty now turned variety streamer who, in my opinion, has just got it. Vibes, energy, passion, drive, desire. And just like many of the other streamers, she's built such a strong community that she's proud of, that she now calls her family. And that really shone through in the interview. In the episode, we talk about many things, including how she actually built that strong community really through just using Twitch instead of actually other socials, which is very different than a lot of people, what it's like now being a variety streamer, and also how she manages the stresses and challenges of life. If you enjoy the episode, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button down below. And if you don't, I'd love to hear why in the comments. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Yikes, welcome to the Behind the Stream podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. What's been going on? How's your day been?
Well, thank you for inviting me, by the way. I've been looking forward to this. My day, it has been pretty chill today. It's Sunday morning over here, morning-ish, afternoon-ish. I got to sleep in a little bit. I've actually been fighting off a bit of a cold this entire week, but I just keep pushing through and just pretending like I'm not sick. So, but I'm really happy to be here and I'm excited to chat. How are you?
I'm good. I slept in as well, to be fair.
Good.
I went to bed about 2:30 last night and I was waiting for a video to upload on YouTube and I was like, I need to wait for it to process and it's taking forever. And I was like half asleep with my laptop open.
Yeah, the YouTube videos take forever.
Yeah, sometimes they just take a lot longer to process. And then today I have just been editing some videos, like just lounging around the house. Pretty good.
Awesome.
My flatmate's not here. He's on holiday, so it's a bit
time for yourself.
I haven't got my mum here to nag. He's literally like my mum. Let's just go straight into it. If you could talk a little bit about yourself in terms of who you are, what you do, what you stream, what got you into streaming, any inspirations, any notable things that have happened in your streaming journey, and kind of how that's led to where you're at today, and what are your thoughts going forward. There's a lot in there, but yeah, just I hope you got the gist of that. Just give us a story basically about you.
Sounds good. My name is Yikes, formerly on Twitch as xxYikes. I started streaming about 2 years ago, around the time when the pandemic started kicking off. And really the way that it happened was, truly it's kind of a cool story. I was out with my friends. We could sit outside, I remember, and it was like full-blown pandemic, but it was the only place where we could just, it was like the last moments before everything shut down. And we were sitting together outside and we were talking, and I was like, guys, these are some of my best friends that I'm talking to. And I'm like, guys, I feel like I really want to do something on the internet. I don't know what, maybe vlogging on YouTube. I feel like we're pretty funny and, people might relate to some of the things that we talk about. I just don't know what to do though. And that time, around the same time, I picked up gaming again. I picked up my PS4 and I was gaming again for the first time in years, because I went to college and then grad school. So I really had no time to do any gaming. And I picked up Call of Duty and I was playing with that same group of people. So one of the people at that table was like, why don't you try Twitch? And I was like, oh, what's that? Literally had no idea about Twitch. I didn't even know that, watching people play video games is a thing. Or did you hear that come through, or was it just me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What and there was a new follower alert that just popped in my head.
Oh, you've got them on. Okay.
I thought I turned them off.
I couldn't hear it. Don't worry.
But anyway, so I was like, oh, that's really cool. So then I checked out what Twitch was and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever. How did I not know that this exists? So then, I made an account and I streamed. I think my first stream was off my PS4.
Oh.
And it was Call of Duty. It was awful, and it was just me and that group of friends like watching. And I was like, oh my god, look at the little chat. Like, there's people. This is so cool. There was like 6 viewers because it's literally me and all my friends. And I think I used my mom's phone to like also log in and give myself a viewer or something. Yeah. And then I was like, this is kind of cool. So then I tried it on my mom's gaming laptop. So my dad's a gamer and bought her a gaming laptop for no reason at all. So I was like, Mom, can I borrow this? And I remember I had a budget of like $100 and I bought like a $30 camera, a $30 headset, and a $30 mic. And I set them up and I couldn't run Call of Duty. So my very first stream, like official stream, was Sims. And it was so funny. I mean, I was surprised that, I was able to figure out all the OBS stuff. I just kind of like watched YouTube videos and figured it out. And we played Sims, and that group of friends was there, and we're there, and it was so funny. And then somebody, I remember that day, messaged me. I think it was my sister actually, and she goes, "You looked like you've done this before. Like, you look like you've been doing this your whole life." And I was like, "What?" Which was crazy. And I guess it kind of like sparked even more inspiration to keep doing it. So then, little by little, I started upgrading things, and it happened actually so fast within like the third. So I started like for real, I say in July 2020, and I was finishing grad school in August or September of that year. And I remember my parents were like, "What do you want for your graduation gift?" Which is really nice that they even offered, right? And I was like, "Oh, what about like a gaming PC? Like, how cool would that be?" And my dad, being a gamer, was like, "I got you." So, and he got me a gaming PC. Thanks, Dad. If you ever see this, I really appreciate it. It was a great gift. And I hooked it up, and it's actually the PC that I still use to this day. And we hooked up Warzone, and then I just started showing up, being consistent. I remember I took a month off to study for my board exam, and then I got right back into it, and then really never looked back. And really the part that made me keep going is just seeing like friends supporting you was really cool, but then seeing viewers come in who support you is like a whole nother level. Like, these people don't know who I am. Why are they supporting me? And then I just realized the meaning of a community and how powerful that is. So then slowly I became a community-based streamer and was like, this is what I want to do. And that was the biggest motivation. That's the biggest, I'd say the core foundation of my stream is community-based streaming, which, is still the biggest motivation for me.
What do you mean? How would you describe that?
Since day one, I had a day, which, I mean, I know a lot of streamers do this, but like Friday night is for the community, and I try my best to make sure that what we do on that day is representative of not just what I want, but what the community wants as well. And then that's one thing that's how it started, kind of like having a community night. But then, obviously building up your Discord and just spending time in your Discord, actually interacting with the people that are in there, being a part of the community as the streamer, and just building friendships, building relationships. At this point, we've had, even just meetups and traveling together. And it's honestly changed my world, changed my entire life.
And so when you say like the Discord stuff that you've built out, like the community, like I spoke to another streamer about this, like, are you doing like just engaging in there every day, right? Like posing questions in there? What do you do in there?
We kind of describe ourselves as a family. So it just became so natural. Like every morning, like the core community is always in there. We say it sounds kind of like cheesy, but we start with like good morning, and then there's just constant conversations flowing. Then people jumping into the voice chats and having a good time. I try my best when I can to join in myself, but it's just so important to be present in there, because when we're live streamers, we can't always be live streaming. but you do want your community that really cares about you and wants to support you to be able to still interact with you. And I think Discord is one of the main ways to be able to continue engaging with the people that do care about you and want to support you.
Sure. And so do you find that difficult though, sometimes when you're busy, all right? Like I'm sure you've got your streaming, creating content, and I believe you have a job as well.
Yes.
And so like how are you finding time to do all of that?
It is very difficult. And I actually suffer through, I don't want to say suffer, that's a strong word, but I feel a lot of guilt when I can't be as present in there, especially when, I miss everyone. Right now I only stream three nights a week, and I do want to be more present when people are just hanging out in the Discord, and I want to just kind of hang out too. But there's times when I can't, and I don't know why, for some reason I feel guilt. Like I should be in there too, but I also have to kind of like look at it from a different perspective and be like, well, those people in there have formed their own friendships. So maybe they're okay with me not being in there. They've developed friendships and they're hanging out with their friends. So it's okay. And I have to like talk myself through the fact that they understand that, I work and I can't always be present all the time, even though I want to. But yeah, I do. I'm a full-time occupational therapist. So I work currently with people with special needs. I help them be a little bit more independent. So that does take a lot of my free time that I have outside of work, outside of stream. And it's the fact that the job itself is so different than content creation. I have to shift gears to like an extreme amount. And it's so interesting. I talk about this all the time. Like I go to work and sometimes I'm in meetings with like lawyers and all these like the parents and teachers and then I come home and I'm like yelling at players in Call of Duty and saying the dumbest thing. It's nice to have that though, because then I get to kind of shift gears. But yeah, the managing, being present and also taking time for myself is quite difficult. What does
an occupational therapist do?
That's a great question. Actually, the first semester of OT school, they teach us how to explain to people what that is. So really not a lot of people know, and that's totally fine. An occupational therapist, it's a little similar to a physical therapist, except we focus more on everyday things. Like, for example, if I worked at a hospital, I work at a school right now, but if I were to work at a hospital and, someone goes through some sort of an injury, a car accident, or a stroke, then they go through rehab, and the physical therapist would teach you how to walk again and navigate the environment independently, whereas I teach you everyday things. Can you get dressed by yourself again? Can you take a shower? Just independence.
Sweet. And you mentioned that you kind of a few times that you're streaming Call of Duty. That's like what you started streaming, but I noticed that you have been streaming lots of just chatting recently. Is that like something you've now transitioned towards, or you now just see yourself as a variety streamer and you do kind of what the community wants? How does what the community wants versus like what you want to do, and like how does that like come together to create your plan like every week or like for your stream schedule and stuff?
Yeah. It's a great question, because a lot of streamers, especially bigger streamers, would talk about how, being a variety streamer is a privilege.
Yeah.
Because once you start with a certain niche, then it's really hard to, people just associate you with that. Number one, people don't like change.
Yeah.
And number two, you've been associated with that. So when you do something different, people will drop off, which is normal. No matter what you do, people will drop off a little bit. But I feel like I took kind of a leap of faith and realized that, once I realized that the community supports me for me, not the game that I'm playing, because I'm not a stellar professional Call of Duty player. It's really the fact that it's the personality that I bring into the game, I think, is what makes people want to watch it. I mean, I don't know how they feel, but that's what I'm thinking. So just being a variety streamer has, I took a leap of faith to start playing. Little by little, I started changing what I'm doing. I started doing a little bit more just chatting. I started doing, playing some other games, sometimes random games that are not even a category on Twitch. Sometimes I've played games under just chatting. I've just tried to experiment and see what happens. And then I realized, like, dang, I'm kind of really lucky to have these people that are willing to stay no matter what I do. But that was really scary. And it's a little hard to bring people that way because you're not sticking to one thing. So, but as long as the community is enjoying it, that's the most important part on Twitch specifically. There's other ways to bring people in, so I'm not really concerned about that. How
are you then deciding like what to do like on stream? I asked kind of most streamers, like, do you have some idea of what the stream is going to be? If it's more of a sporadic like bit of mishmash of everything, or are you just like going with it, like, okay, let's do this, got like a pool of things that I know that I like doing, let's just pick some things to do and let's just do it?
Yeah. Right now, content creation or just games on Twitch, there isn't really, I think everyone's in a bit of a rut right now. So it's really hard to plan content, especially, it's really difficult. What I tried to do is, I analyze data a lot, whether it's, mine or what Twitch is doing. I know people were saying, oh, numbers don't matter. And I'm not talking about like viewership or anything like that. I'm just saying, how many people are playing this game? Is it actually fun for me? Is it worth me trying it? Am I going to have fun? Which is the most important thing. If I'm not having fun, then there's no point to even try. Sometimes, which is a mistake that I've done, is I see a game and I'm like, this looks interesting. It's super hype right now. The first time that I'm going to play it is on stream. So I'm like, okay, this is our plan. On, Sunday, I'm playing this game. On Wednesday, I'm playing that game. And on Friday, we're doing community night. I have it all set. And then, I'll give you an example. Stray. When Stray came out, the game, I never played it off stream. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to play it on stream. It's going to be so fun. It looks like the chillest game. Everyone's playing it. And then I started streaming. I started playing it. And I was like, okay, this is like way slower than my usual pace. It's solo. It's a solo game too, which I normally play multiplayer games if I'm not doing like just chatting. So then I realized, okay, maybe I should have played this before and understood, saw how I felt. I mean, the stream was great, but internally, I guess people don't know that I'm feeling this. And then I never really played it again. I think I played it one more time after that. But I'm constantly researching games on Discord with my mods. We have like stream ideas too. Okay. People just throwing ideas in there all the time, and I pick through them. But I do try to plan my streams a week in advance to give myself a peace of mind. Because there's times where I'm like sitting in Discord with like community and being like, guys, what should I do on stream? And I'm like asking, if I don't know the answer, why am I expecting them to know the answer? But it's just, it kind of turns into like this funny thing, I guess. But I'm like, guys, I don't know what to do. And then I start stream and I'm like, all right, so we're just going to sit here and talk to each other. Because honestly, I don't know. There's no games to play right now. And then, but that turns into a stream in itself. And then we do just chatting. I've even done like DJing streams. I mean, it just wherever. I also try to read, feel the energy of chat. Yeah. And then if people just want to hang out and talk and we're having great conversations, then that's all we do. Sometimes I've done reaction videos where I prep like all the videos that we're going to watch in a folder, and then we just watch those. In a lot of preparation though. I guess if anybody is listening that is sort of a newer streamer, I would definitely recommend planning your streams. It would change your life.
How do you set, I'm gonna go more specific. Do you set a certain, you say you plan your stream a week before, like a specific time on a specific day, like, because I assume you probably have a pretty busy schedule. Like, do you like, this is the day that I do my planning? No, you just
and the planning is, it's just kind of random, and the planning doesn't really happen on paper.
Okay.
It happens like I'm in my head, like driving home from work, and then I'm just shifting gears, and then I just say, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And oftentimes I don't even tell mods because I'm just not sure that that's what I'm gonna do. But subconsciously I have it planned in my head. I'm constantly thinking about it. There's times where I do have it planned out, and I'm so excited that October is coming up because every year in October, I just play scary games. So I'm like, okay,
nice.
I already have my list of the games.
Sweet.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, less planning.
Less planning for once. Yeah.
When I actually am interested to talk about Call of Duty and like what is your experience being a female playing Call of Duty like, and I'd like to talk about that because I'm just like super conscious of what I see from the outside but have no idea what it's like from being a female player and a female streamer who plays Call of Duty. Like what's been your experience with that, and how like have you I don't know managed the toxicity like is what I'm obviously talking about, and it'd be just great to share for you to share your insights on that.
I feel like I've been fortunate enough to not have experienced too much toxicity. And we're just talking about like Warzone. We're not talking about like search and destroy or anything like that, because that's an entire different world of Call of Duty. Yeah, it's an entire different
That's the
world.
most toxic one.
Yeah. So we're just talking about Warzone. And I think it's mainly because I did certain things to protect myself from that toxicity. If I'm playing Call of Duty, I always have, if it's not community night, I'm always playing with my squad, who are the designated people that, you know, I understand like streaming dynamic and make me feel comfortable to play with. Yeah. So that it's always just really fun and you know, and enjoyable for other people to watch as well. And then I know that no one's toxic, because you could bring big community or people who are from the community. But if you've never played together, you know, the dynamic is not quite right all the time. So that's one way that I handle that. And, but when, you know, toxic moments do come about, I just, you know, it unfortunately it is what it is. And if you try to correct those people, then it just makes it worse. And, I just try not to let it get to me. I mean, unfortunately, as we see, as a female streamer on Call of Duty, I feel like you either have to be like really funny or really really entertaining, or just like really good at the game to gain any sort of like bigger fame in that. I mean, I understand that. I guess I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, because I haven't really thought about that. I haven't really thought about that before, but I don't know. It might be the same for men. I don't know. I'm not sure.
And what about in Search and Destroy then? Because I saw that you played Search and Destroy, and I was like, fuck, like that's so Search and Destroy on Call of Duty is so toxic. It's so toxic in the game rounds as well. Because I've just seen so many clips. I used to play Search and Destroy when I was younger. Yeah. Do you play that often at the moment?
No, not on stream. So we did it on Friday because we were doing community night, but it was advertised as community members only. Like when people asked to join who we didn't know who they were. Okay. We just said, hey, thank you for wanting to join, but you know, hang out in the community and maybe next Friday we can get you in and you can play with us. We'd love to meet you. And I did explain the only reason why we're doing that is to protect the community and to protect ourselves. Okay. And, you know, they could be a great person, but they can also be, you know, one of those people that makes one of the people that makes S&D so notorious and infamous for its. So like you say you're playing community, like it means that everyone in the game is basically from your community. Yeah, like but we don't private lobby like. Correct. But we don't always do that for community night. Okay. You know, there's times where we do community night where people who just join onto the stream are welcome to join. It really depends on the game. Again, if it's a toxic game, we do things just to protect the community. So that's why we make it. We don't want to make it exclusive. We're literally just doing that to protect ourselves. How does then someone maybe say, like, if you're you talked about you play with certain people who kind of so the streaming dynamic is right, like how does someone get into that, right? Like how do I play with you on stream if I'm a viewer? Like what would I need to do to show that like
even if I have got the right personality, and kind of how do I show that?
Yeah.
Like how do I be a part of that if I want to?
Yeah, and that is something that I do think about every time we do an exclusive community night, which we don't really do that often. Normally we just have a queue, and the first people that join, we do have screening opportunities. So if let's say I'm doing GeoGuessr for the night, right?
Yeah.
And I'm one person, and there's like 9 more spots. So I open up a queue in the beginning of stream, and the first 9 people to join get to play. And the prerequisites are you have to have Discord. So that's one way to like screen someone, right? It's not just someone random. You have to be in the VC. And if we've never met you before, you just talk with a mod for like 15 seconds prior to jumping in the voice chat to play with us. So you do have an opportunity. It is a little nerve-wracking to have to like speak to a mod and all that. But it's all come to this point from bad learning experiences in the past of people coming in and ruining it and just ruining the vibe. So it's all just to protect the community.
No, I love that. I've recently just spoke with another streamer who is he's just training to be a teacher. So like he's got like all of these safeguards that he has to put up, stuff like that. Like where like is all about protecting his community. Like I said, it's not about making an exclusive club, like an exclusive friendship group. It's about protecting people in that friendship group, so you don't let someone come in who just tries to destroy everything, right? And I think that's super important, especially when you're playing a game, I think, like Warzone or one of the shooting games, where generally you find there are lots of I'm going to stereotype, but lots of toxic young boys that just like to cause chaos. They get thrills out of just pissing streamers and communities off. But one day they'll grow up and learn their lesson. But I think for the time being, they will always exist. All right.
And they're at that age, it's hard to change. I mean, every once in a while, I've had when I was more lax on, community night, I just used to do Warzone, and I'd play 2 games with viewers, and then we'd rotate the squad. And most of the time in the beginning, it was just new people all the time. And, sometimes younger people would come in, and some of them would be really immature. And then some of them would be like really mature and really, I'm like, you're going to grow up to be a fine gentleman. Like you are so nice. And so, you know what I mean? There were some, so I guess we have some hope, right?
So, with like, you say you stream 3 days a week, right? Like, has that always been the case? I'm curious, like how, like when you first started, did you want to stream more? There's always this like battling opinions online of how many days a week to stream, especially if you're a part-time streamer. People always like, it's 5 days a week. You got to stream 5 days a week. Like, and I don't personally think that's right as a part-time streamer. It's not sustainable. So like, I would love to hear what how you've got to 3 day a week. Like how have you find comfort in only streaming 3 days a week? Like, because that's actually like not that much, is it? When you compare it to other streamers, like, and does that, how do you think about that?
Well, I started out, first of all, when I started streaming, I didn't have a streaming schedule. So which is big mistake. But I also always streamed being like, people, like, if they show up, they show up. Like, who really cares that I'm live? Like, who am I? You know what I mean? Like, whether I go live on Monday or Tuesday, it doesn't matter. Like, what is the point? Why am I, like, no one's thinking about me. So I was like, when I go live, if people want to show up, they show up. If they don't, then they don't. And then, as I progressed through my streaming career, I started picking up on like tips and tricks from bigger streamers and people who are successful, which you should be learning from the people that are successful. That is your best resource. Any
like resources that you used or anything that like really you found helped you?
I watched a lot of YouTube videos,
Tons of it.
I learned, I spent hours and hours and hours researching streaming and what you should do. I took a lot of inspiration from Harris Heller, Julian Solomita, Sweet Tales. They're just, amazing content creators. And so, learning from the best, number one, doing your own research because what they're doing may not be your thing.
Yeah.
And then, I finally set up a streaming schedule, and finally, like a year later, I should say, I did a lot of things wrong the first year of streaming. And once I started implementing the things that I was learning and putting in the time to learn, that's when things started taking off. And then I set up a stream schedule, and in the beginning, I can't remember if I did 4 nights a week or just 3. I feel like I was doing just 3. And then I work at a school, so I don't work summers. This summer I streamed 4 nights a week. And so I actually consider myself, I do feel like I stream full time because of how like content creation and like behind the scenes and everything. And
yeah, you're doing 40 hours a week on top of your
so
job
I am
anyway.
just because I'm not actually streaming.
Sure.
Even what we're doing right now, right? I consider this, related to streaming. So it's part of the game. And it's really it does take a toll. So then I was like, okay, when I start work again, when school starts again, I have to bring it back down to 3 weeks. And then I remember the first 2 weeks, so I got partnered in May, literally 2 weeks before school ended. And then I was just waiting. Things were so intense at that moment. It was so crazy. And I was just waiting for those last 2 weeks of school to end so that I can have the summer off and just breathe. And then it ended, and then I started streaming 4 nights a week, and then I guess I got settled into that a little bit, and then school started again, and I went back to work, and I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. I had no time to do anything, like nothing at all. It was either I'm streaming, I'm working, or I am thinking about streaming or thinking about working. And then I come home, like, when do you clean? When do you cook? When do you sit down and watch TV?
Yeah.
When do you do any of that stuff? And I was like losing my mind, privately, I guess. Maybe my mods know about it. Maybe on stream a little bit too. Sometimes I spiral in a sort of professional way on stream, but it's, not in a bad way though. And I just try to be honest with the people that are watching. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm going through right now. I'm a little bit stressed out. These are the reasons. And then I was thinking about like, what if I just quit my job? What if I just quit my job and streamed full time? Like, that's a great idea, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, sounds like a great idea, but you gotta sit down and think about this. So I actually met with an accountant. Yeah. And I was like, is this a feasible option? Can we actually do this? So, and he was like, maybe one day, but right now it's not the best decision for you. And I was like, all right, cool. So now I have to accept the fact that I'm just going to be tired for a very long time still. But all of that doesn't compare to the I don't want to say gratification. I guess that's kind of the word. How empowering it is to like show up on stream and see those people show up with me, and we just have a great time anyways. You know what I mean? No matter if I'm tired or sometimes in a bad mood, or when I am in a great mood, we still have the best time. And, just the relationships and the opportunities that have come about from that just make it worth it. And I guess it's just, you just have to be willing to put in the work. That was a very long response, but you just have to be flexible and adjust your schedule and say, okay, also, because you mentioned, people stream 5 nights a week or 6. Typically that's like 6 is a little too much in my opinion. The sweet spot is like 3 to 5. 3 is a little, but I feel like I do interact with my community so much, or at least try to on Discord and stuff like that, that it's not like I just go MIA.
Okay. Maybe that's the lesson then. If you can only do 3, then just make sure that you're doing those other forms of engagement on Discord to make up for that, rather than just doing 3 and then that's it. Like being non-existent.
Exactly. And just posting content when you're offline as well. That's very important.
So like how we talked a bit about it before we started, like mental health, and I'm curious, like leading on from what you've just said about your lifestyle right now is that you have no time for anything. how are you managing that mentally? How do you balance work, streaming, content, social life admin, finance, you know, like all this shit that
Just
like
everything.
like being an adult, right? Like,
Yeah.
and like how what stresses
When do you go
out?
change your oil?
Yeah, like how do you do all of this? Because I always am wondering, like I'm in the same position. I feel like my life is like that, and I get stressed out sometimes, and I just would love to hear like how are you managing it? Like, what do you do? What works for you? What helps? What gets you stressed? What helps you relieve stress?
When it first starts, like the grind, I would say, when it first hits you that you have no free time, I think that's the worst. Like maybe the first week or two of it, you're like, okay, maybe I'm busy right now. It's just a wave. And then you realize, okay, it's not a wave. This is just how it's going to be. Are you willing to continue this? Can you do it? Or is this not for you? You know what I mean? Then do you have the option to, so I guess I said to myself was, do I have the option to just do one thing? I, examine that part, realize that I can't. So I'm like, it's okay. Like you've streamed, and, when I was going to grad school, like when I was going to take my board exam, I was still streaming, although it was totally different. That I was in that mentality when I'm like, no one cares about my stream, so who cares? Like, whatever. I could just, no one's going to show up anyway. So like, what's the point? Which is a really bad mentality to have, but that's a whole nother thing. And then, when it starts weighing on your mental health, like don't be afraid to, take a break, be vulnerable with your community. If that's comfortable for you, tell them, hey, I'm feeling really stressed out. I haven't had the time to do anything for myself. The people that really care about you, which are the people that you want in your stream and you want to support you, will understand. And you can take a break. Maybe cancel 2 streams, take some time for yourself, watch some TV, do something that is totally going to zone you out and not stress you out. Like not like cancel stream, but then go on your phone and scroll through TikTok for 5 hours. You know what I mean? Do something like meaningful for yourself. Take some time off. And just try to incorporate balance, because we all need it. We're not machines. I just keep, like, being on the go is great for me. I've always been this way. But it does get a lot. And then when you do feel like you're struggling mentally, have some people that you feel comfortable confiding that information in. Because like for me, those are my mods. My moderators are like the most amazing people, and I confide in them a lot. And let's say I cancel community night or something, which always like breaks my heart, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like community night, why am I canceling this? There's, people looking forward to that. And then they're so nice, like without me even asking, they would organize a community night, within the Discord, and just kind of like step in and just help out. So I don't know, just don't be afraid to take a break, I guess. But then you just have to do it. You got to be willing to put in the work. There's no other option.
But when you take a break, are you able to switch off?
Sometimes I take successful breaks, and sometimes I take breaks that I'm like, you know what, I shouldn't have taken a break, because this break was not it didn't make me reset. So you have to find things, it sounds cliche again, like hobbies and stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've canceled stream and just like played video games with like by myself, or with 1 or 2 other people, because I don't feel like streaming at that moment. I'm not mentally ready to or prepared. And again, like I think one of the most important parts, like it's okay to show up on your stream, and this is my opinion, but it's okay to show up on your stream, being upset and being vulnerable every once in a while, and saying, I'm struggling right now. Just, I'm really busy. Thank you guys for understanding. But like, if you're going to keep doing that every stream, you need to take a break.
Yeah.
You need to take a break and make sure that the next time you show up on stream, you're actually going to have fun. Otherwise, you're going to just spiral.
Do you find that like sometimes you are in that in the mood of where you don't want to stream and you stream changes that? Like you are,
Oh yeah.
like you've had a bad day and actually you're really looking forward to stream because you feel like it's going to just lift your mood a bit.
Absolutely. And there have been many times where I'd show up and then community would just completely change my mood. But, you know, you don't know that that's going to happen, especially if you're feeling anxious. You're like, your brain's like, oh, I'm going to start streaming. It's just going to be terrible and I don't want to show up. So I might as well, like that feeling can be a little bit overpowering versus your feeling of being like, I can just persevere and I can push through and I'll show up and it'll be a great time. So you just have to, like, really, if you're really struggling at that moment, just take a break. Be kind to yourself, you know, take a bath, sit on your couch and watch some TV. It's okay. The people that care about you will show up next time and they'll understand. You know, and I struggled with that so much. I was like, if I cancel stream, it takes 24 hours for people to forget about me. I guess that's how I thought. Like, they're never going to show up again. It's not like that. I think people would actually might respect you more if you show them that it's okay to take a break and it's okay to you know, take it easy.
Gotta look after yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think you gotta. I always have the opinion that streamers are influencers, right? They're the leader of the community, and it is equally important that you set an example of you taking care of yourself. Because I think otherwise, it's like, how do you influence and get people to kind of be inspired by you if you're just living a lifestyle that's just like really bad for you? I think it just
not sustainable.
Not sustainable. Are you happy with everything that you're doing right now? Have you found balance?
Imagine I said no.
Have you found balance in as chaotic and as stressful as your life is? Do you feel like you're in a good place? There's somewhere where you would more like to be, or like where are you at?
Yeah, I'm happy. And, you know, there are times where, and I think everybody feels that way with anything, where you just, you feel like something happens and then the feelings are so intense and you're like, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. But then you're like, what are you talking about? Can you, like, you know, like, relax, take a second to feel what you're feeling and then think about what you actually just thought or said to yourself, you know? But for the most part, I'm really happy with, you know, again, I am going to mention community again, because they're the reason why I do this. I don't think, it wouldn't be the same if it wasn't, if the community wasn't so close, you know. I just, like, I do this for them, and it's just so important to me that they're happy, which again, that can also be like, if there's ever something going on, it really affects me and I try not to show it, but I'm like, how do I fix this? We sit down and we problem solve with mods, and we always figure it out, but it's very stressful in the moment. Those are some of the things that really get me down sometimes. But as a content creator, you know, you're kind of one of the hardest parts, I would say, are that your success on the internet is based off of how much people like you. So that can really take a toll on your mental health. Like when you're posting content, you know, the likes and the follows and your viewerships and all of those things, those are a representation of how much people like you. And I think the key to having good mental health as a content creator is to remove yourself from that and just keep, you know, like, realize your value of what you're doing on the internet. And when someone who's watching you tells you, I love your content, like, you're great, you make me laugh, that is way more powerful than people not liking your posts, the algorithm not pushing out your content, you know, people clicking on your stream and leaving immediately, because people do that all the time. So try to put emphasis on the positives and have that, you know, be on the forefront of your mind versus all the negative things. I think that really helps with mental health, but it's really hard because negative emotions are more powerful than positive ones. So, but you know, it's just, you gotta be a little bit more conscientious of the emotions that you're prioritizing based off of what's happening on your stream at the moment or like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
If that made any sense.
Yeah, no, I get you. Sometimes it's just like a bit of a roller coaster. Like, I feel like everyone is like that, you know, like I relate to some when you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, whereas like yesterday, I'm thinking, fuck me, I'm about to solve the whole problems of all the world, like with like on my stream and like achieve so much. And then the next day you're just like one shitty little comment or one shitty little thought in your head makes you just doubt everything that you've just previously thought to be positive. And then it's like figuring out, well, like, yeah, like you said, like, wait a minute, like, let's just take a step back. Yesterday I was feeling like this, now I'm feeling shit. Like, come on, like, really, like, come on, like, let's go back to yesterday, because I know all of those things that I was thinking yesterday are true. They're true. Like, they I wasn't just like living in fairyland yesterday. Like, I was making some honest, positive points about what I'm doing, and now I'm just ruining that with just one shitty thought of that's meaningless.
100%.
Like, go a little bit further back in the conversation that we had. I had a question that I've been like saving in my head, because you're talking a lot about community, and you spoke about after a year, you implemented a schedule. I wanted to ask about what you did to build that community. Because you said things changed when you started setting a schedule. Like, where have your community come from? Basically, like, how have you got them to your stream? Like, how have they found you? What's been your main source of traffic, or just thing that you've done that's been the most successful in building your community?
Yeah. So my growth on Twitch is exclusively through Twitch, which is very difficult to do.
Really?
I feel like. Yeah.
Tell me the secrets.
It's like one of the hardest things to do, because most people like grow through, different, TikTok or whatever they bring people in from. But basically, when you start implementing a schedule and you start streaming, people who find you, once you've like predispositioned your stream in a certain way, and people are more willing to stay and come back once you already have it all figured out. If you're figuring stuff out all the time, which we are as streamers, but you do have to, like, I always say, like, stream as if like 2,000 people are watching you, even though like 20 or 30 or 100 are watching you. Always make sure you're just doing your best when you're live so that people can see your true value and what you have to offer, which, is difficult to do when you are, not feeling well, right? So that can just small segue back into that, conversation about wanting to take a break. You do want to try to be your best on stream, because that's why you're doing it. But one thing that is really important is, obviously develop relationships with people. If you want to become part of communities that, sorry, the follow alert, sorry, my bad.
I can't hear it.
Distract me.
It's still good.
If you want to become a part of other streamers' communities, make sure that you're doing it because you actually care about them. It's okay to network, and it's okay to go and meet people, because you're a viewer too to other streamers, right? And you just want to hang out, but make sure you're doing it with like good intent, and you're not, I see that like in my Discord, people come in and like the first conversation is them talking about my stream or their stream, and I'm like, all right, like, why are you here? Be respectful. If a streamer really likes you, maybe one day your favorite streamer will raid into you. Sweet Tails was my favorite streamer. She raided into me, and it was like the craziest thing.
Nice.
Like the craziest thing. And then coincidentally, I went and I met her that weekend at PAX East. So it was like such a cool thing. Like, you never know what can happen. Just like make sure that you're nice and you actually show that you care about that person. And you can equate that to luck, right? But that's just one thing. And usually raids, Sometimes they don't mean much, but you never know what can happen, and you never know who might decide to stay. Just try to build a welcoming community, welcome people, make them feel like they want to come back, make them feel they're a part of something. That's very important, I feel like, especially on the internet. It can feel so lonely sometimes in the real world. So why don't you create a space that, fulfills that void a little bit? Because that's how I feel when I'm hanging out, and whether it's my Discord or somebody else's, I don't think I felt like lonely in a very long time because of all these people that are just like so amazing and are always there. There's like different types of loneliness, but that's another topic. Yeah, like I feel like people are always there, and it's really sweet.
Do you think that helps maybe balance out the fact that probably you don't have the most... I'm making an assumption here, but I'm going to assume that your social life is not like at the top end of your like friends, like in terms of like how much you go out and stuff like that, right? Like, because I guess content creation can feel a bit lonely because you just distance yourself from your kind of in real life friends a little bit because of how busy you are. But
I did. I used to, have like a really, really big social life before I started, before the pandemic.
You did? Okay.
Really.
All right.
Yeah. I was always out and about, always, hanging out with people, always, talking, like just chatting with my best friends and then once but we were also at an age, I'm open about my age. I'm 27. I started streaming when I was 25, and we were at an age where like, my friends, or some of them were getting married, or, having kids, or moving, and everybody was doing something. And I was like, well, what's my thing? I'm not, I finished school, so I finished school, and then I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? So then that's why I was thinking about doing something on the internet, and Twitch was my baby. Twitch was my little passion that is so fulfilling that, just because I feel like I don't hang out with my friends, my real life friends anymore as much. I mean, they understand because they're doing their own thing, right? Yeah. So we've grown up together, and our interests have changed. So they have their own things, and I have lots of things in common with, the people that I hang out with on the internet. And we've become so close. Like I said, we travel the world, and I get to go to all these places because of everybody lives somewhere else. And it's really cool. And my real life friends would come over for my birthday, and it's really cool. We do this like giant stream where everybody's like in my room, and we're having a good time, and they get to interact, and they're like, oh, this is what you do. Okay.
Do they get it?
Kind of cool.
Do they get it?
Some of them do. I would say out of like 20 people, maybe like one person actually watches my stream. If that, okay. That's how, like, if I didn't know what Twitch was, they also didn't know what it was, because no one really is a gamer. Except that one group of people that I was talking about that when we were sitting at the table, like they jump in and out, but they like now they have kids too, and they just don't have time for the games or to watch my stream. But it's different.
I relate to a lot what you said there. Like I'm 28, and like since I've taken on various projects in my spare time and had less times for my friends, I felt super conscious that they would look at me and feel like I'm not making time for them. But then at the same time, I've realized, like you just said, like they're growing up too. They've got other things to be getting on with. Like they're just, life is changing. Like we're not all just now like younger kids socializing every single weekend with everybody. Like you have to be there. Like, like I think exactly. People just respect the fact that you're a grown adult now. You've got other priorities. Like we're still friends. Like we're like, just because we don't see each other every weekend, it doesn't mean that our friendship is any less valuable. And it is quite nice to just like have that mutual understanding across your friendship groups, so that you can get on with your stuff and not feel like you're being a bad friend. I always was concerned at first. Like I feel like I'm being a bad friend because I'm always busy, but I know, like I'm trying to.
But it is,
trying to build a life that I want. Like. Exactly.
And it doesn't mean that you love them any less.
For sure.
Answering. So.
So you said that, like, I still want to go back to the building of your Twitch channel. You you built it through like networking, right? Like,
Well, streaming, I didn't start networking until like way later in my streaming career, which you should be networking. Again, if you're doing it, there's just so many crappy people out there that will take advantage of you. So I see a lot of streamers that like maybe they think that I'm trying to do the same because they've been burnt before. You know what I mean? And I like mean well. Like if I'm hanging out in your community, I care about you. You know, I'm not there to take anybody from you or but sorry, keep going.
Like, what game were you playing when your viewers were coming in? Where you say because you're saying that you just come from Twitch, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
mainly Call of Duty.
I
would say Call of Duty was. I started being a variety streamer once I got partnered, I would say.
Okay.
So up until I got partnered, I was predominantly playing Call of Duty with like, basically the way that it happened was I was doing just chatting in the beginning and then Call of Duty later.
Okay.
And then, you know, I've tried like cooking streams and stuff in the past, but nothing like too crazy. You know, I've had people come over and like, I did start doing a little bit more of guest streams. I love having like one of my real life best friends comes over and we do like a segment where we're, you know, so those are some of the things that I was doing like prior. But once I became partnered, I felt like, I guess I grew the balls to go and kind of explore more.
And so then when did you then start deciding to do like TikTok, let's say? Like when did you like go, oh, like I should probably start doing clips and stuff? Like, when did that happen?
That happened in March of this year.
Okay. Not so long ago then.
Yeah. So basically I was like, I need to, you know, start putting content out there. I need to, somehow more than just Twitch. So I posted on my Instagram, I was like, I'm looking for an editor, and somebody shared it to somebody, and then that's how I found my first editor. And then we started working together and we had a plan, but it was like, I don't even remember how many videos we were doing a week. Maybe like, I don't even remember. If he sees this, he's gonna be like, I know the answer. Maybe like 3 or 5. I think we were doing maybe 5 that I was trying to post every day at least, or every other day, something like that. And then eventually I got another editor so we can have like more videos. And, you know, if somebody was sick, I wouldn't be like a week behind or anything like that.
Okay.
And then one of my moderators also became my clipper. So then slowly over time, it has like we've changed our editing style too, and you know the content that I do put out on TikTok, and you know some videos have done really well and some haven't, and that's okay, and that's part of the game, and we're learning. And the algorithm changes so much that it's like so annoying, but that's another entire can of worms there. But yeah, so really in March when we started doing it like seriously. So ever since then, you know, now that's, you know, I kind of refer to that as my social media team, and we try our best.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
So you went straight in for an editor?
Yeah.
Like what? Why?
Because I hate editing.
You hate editing?
And I don't have time. Oh, I hate it.
Yeah.
Editing is like the worst thing. I find it so tedious. I don't like clipping too. Like clipping to me I find it so tedious. And
it is.
I also didn't have time, and I kept putting it off. And then I would fall really behind, and then I would miss clips, and I would miss really important content that could have gone on social media. And I was like, I need help. So then I budgeted and I said, okay, I need to set this money on the side and basically get a team and then invest. So I'm essentially investing in my social media accounts is what I'm doing.
Yeah. And like what?
With zero money in return, but that's fine. It's part of the game.
Yeah, for sure. What was your vision and intentions for your clips, like on TikTok or on other platforms, like from the start, and like how's that evolved? Where do you see it going, or are you still in just like experimental stage? Because I watched like lots of your clips and they're very all quite random. Like I don't know, there's kind of like pockets of like the same sort of styles, but then different. Then you're just different styles. I actually found you when you you did the Bulgarian singing
Oh, on Twitter?
on Twitter. Yeah, on
think
TikTok.
that's-
On TikTok.
That's how you found me?
Yeah. It came up.
On TikTok?
Wait, is it Bulgarian? Is it Bulgarian? Am
It
I
was
right
in
there?
Bulgaria.
Yeah.
it was in Bulgaria.
That's how I
Yeah.
found you. I was like, this is sick. I watched it a few times. I watched it a few times, started singing along.
Wow.
That's
And
why.
that video didn't even do so well.
Oh well,
so
it just
I'm
came up.
surprised that-
It actually just came up one day, and I like listening to foreign music when it's like got a good beat and stuff, and I'm like, and I can feel it, and yeah.
Man, I could send you more. Just let me know. Just let me know.
Put more up, please. I love it.
Yeah, it's quite random just because of the nature of my stream now that I've become more of a variety streamer. You know, I'd post just whatever happens on stream, whatever I think.
Mhm.
In terms of the algorithm on stream, on TikTok, you really, for your videos to blow up, you either have to be like extremely funny with an extremely engaging editing style.
Yeah.
Or like what happened was just so freaking funny that it just, you know, people want to reshare it with each other, or it has to be relatable. So like whenever I've posted something about like relationships or anything like that, or just talking about, you know, those usually do a little bit better. You know, there's videos that I'm like, oh my God, this is so funny, but it's only funny to me in community because we were there, but I posted anyways.
How are you deciding?
Well.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, obviously, like those wouldn't do so well because people watch it and they're like, what is this? We don't get it.
Yeah. So like, you briefly spoke about your modders clipping, etc. So like, are you having any sort of impact on impact is the right word? Any say in what's getting clipped? If something, let me put it like this. If something happens on stream and in your head you're like, that could be a clip. Like, are you like, yeah, clip this? Like, how much is you basically going, yeah, please clip this, and your mod doing it themselves and going, oh, actually, I think that, because you're too lost in the moment. You know, sometimes you're just like not even thinking about that.
Yeah, correct. So we do have a system for that.
You have a system, yes. What's the system?
The system is, I'll invoice you for that later, by the way.
Okay.
Just letting, I'm just kidding. The system is, basically there's certain things that I have told my mod to, I was like, it's Louis. Hi, Louis. If you're listening to this, hello. I've told Louis, hey, if something happens where like I'm ranting about something, or, you know, I'm talking about something that you feel like is relatable, you know, that needs to be clipped. If something in the game happens that's really funny, that needs to be clipped. And like how to clip it in parts and stuff like that. And sometimes after a stream, I ask him to go back and I'm like, remember that one part? Can you please go and clip that? But for the most part, there's a lot of autonomy for him in what he's clipping, and he does a great job.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like which clips get edited, every week on Sunday, basically he posts all the clips. We have like a chat, like a group chat with like the editors and me and one of my other mods and Louis. And then he posts all the clips from that week that we've collected of content. And then I go and watch them. And then I select from those clips which ones are getting edited. So that's the system.
That's a nice efficient system.
Yeah, and then I like distribute. Oh, you know, like which editor can edit which one and that kind of thing. Yeah. And
so that's like everything on your TikTok is basically being followed through that system, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
Okay, cool. Like, so you're not like ever planning stuff like on stream to do on TikTok, or is it all just like random moments? Like, do you not ever like have an idea where you're like, I want to do that for TikTok?
For TikTok? No, that only happened once.
Okay.
No, it happened by accident actually. And I guess this is kind of interesting. I think if you are trying to like be on TikTok and stuff like that, there was this series called The Button by Cut on YouTube. And, you know, I just wanted to do reaction videos, but not because I wanted to post it on TikTok. I didn't even think that's an option because it was so different than what I was doing. I was like, I'll just do it for stream. Like, it'll be so funny, like so interactive, you know, chat can give me their thoughts on like what's happening. And then, you know, that episode was so good that, you know, I was like, oh, there's this one part where I think that was the first or second one where it's like
what's button?
One of the girls,
like what? Can you explain like what?
Yeah, the button is a speed dating kind
Yeah,
of thing.
okay.
Like basically two people come and sit in front of each other.
Yeah. I saw the video where one of them can press it. Right.
Yeah, and then they press it, and then one of them was like, well, what do you do for fun? The girl was asking the guy, what do you do for fun? And he was like, oh, I play video games. And then she buzzed him out, and they were like, why'd you buzz him out? And she's like, because there's more to life than video games. And I went on a rant after that, and I thought that would be a good clip. And then we posted that on TikTok, and it blew up. It went viral. Sweet. So I was like, oh yeah, reaction videos. This is our thing. We got it, guys.
Made it.
We made it. We found our niche. And then I did a couple more. I mean, a couple like did well too, and then it just plateaued again.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay. And then I realized I'm forcing myself to watch these reaction videos sometimes to like things that are not even interesting. So I'm like, I could do that off stream, right? I can watch and react to YouTube as much as I want.
Yeah.
Off stream, and then, you know, then I just keep posting what I just think brings the most value, what represents the stream the most.
Yeah.
And,
okay. I see that. So that's like, that's okay. That makes sense. That's like the theme of the content then. It's like you're just promoting like the theme and value of
like
the stream.
Literally highlights of my stream. Like this is what you would expect if you come to watch me. But the problem with that is like, especially with the reaction videos, people are just like, oh, cool, this is funny. They may follow me on TikTok, but the conversion rate over to Twitch is like an entire different beast.
Yeah, I've always been curious on how reaction videos convert well, like, because I mean they can do very well on algorithms on the basis that you're watching a video that is like just super high attention because it's a viral video. But then like, how do you then sell yourself in that with your reaction, right? But again, like, how unique can you make a reaction in a reaction video, like where you?
So that's something where like I would convert people. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're asking?
I always wonder how it's quite difficult. It's very difficult in that type of content, I feel.
Because I always fear of sounding like, oh, you like this video? Come follow me on Twitch. Like I always feel like that sounds a little like sellout-y, but that's what you should be doing. Literally, that's what you should be doing to get people. You know, if you like this video, follow me on Twitch. And honestly, it increases the rate of you converting people by like tons. It's really effective. But I just don't do it because it makes me feel a little icky. I'm not comfortable with doing that yet.
Yeah.
And it's also like, you can make it like subtle, just like have like a little follow thing, but most of the time it's called a call to action, right? At the end of your video, you're like, if you want more, follow me. At least follow me on TikTok or something like that. Because, you know, the rule is like, if you pop up on somebody's feed 3 times, when they're not following you, the 3rd time, maybe they'll follow you. It's not the first couple of viral videos. You know, maybe I got lucky with you because you found me and then you were like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe I'll like investigate who this person is. But for the most part, for most viewers, it takes, you have to pop up several times for there to be any sort of retention on that platform. And then you have to probably be like huge and just explode to like bring a bunch of other people to Twitch.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, I feel it is tough. I feel like if it's just like you said, like the CTAs, where it's just like, come follow me on Twitch, like links in my bio. I always question how successful that type of CTA is in like sustaining the loyalty of that person that's came over. I always feel like they come over once and then and they watch the stream once and they never come back again. Like because I feel like they've just done it because they've just come over because you've told them to, not because they actually really wanted to, based off the content that they watched. Like if the content is powerful enough, you don't need a CTA. That is exactly my thought process. So you put it really well. It's like, are you telling somebody to do something, or is it coming from like
like their heart, like they want to follow you because you made them feel something.
I think there's a balance. Like I think you can do the CTAs like with powerful content. It's just like sometimes I see creators do it really fucking well where they'll like tell the story and like
and then it cuts off. If you want to see more, you got to do this.
Yeah,
and then it's almost like it throws you for a loop though, because then you're like, okay, what do you want from me? But it could actually spark your interest enough to like, and then if your stream is really good and you end up there and you're like, this is the kind of stuff I was signing up for.
Yeah.
Then it's a win.
Yeah, I feel like you could probably do that with some of your content on your streams. Yeah, like if you don't feel comfortable doing that like hard sell, then maybe like
the hard sell.
Go for like something that's like a cliffhanger, right? That's like basically is like, yeah, come watch my stream to find out the final answer to the thing that I've just built up on the TikTok.
Yeah.
I quite like those people that do that sort of short form content. I think it's because some people do it really innovatively. And I'm like, I wish I could tell a story like that.
You could, and you can get a coach. I don't know how, but I think there's people that are like who have made it that now coach other creators.
Yeah.
I'd love to have one of those. So, but
there's tons of like, there's lots of YouTubers now doing that sort of stuff. Like, or if I'm just like doing lots of stuff on like how to tell better stories. That's like for me is like, like I similar to you in just sort of like I'm creating lots of like random content. Like, no, I never used to do CTAs either. I like you as well. I just don't like it. I just think it just makes the end of the video look really shit. Like, follow me here. Like
are you doing this?
Like, so now I'm
like, what is your intent?
Yeah, like I'm trying to like figure out like how can I package up like some of the streamer conversations like we've had today and like tell a story about you and make someone then want to then watch the podcast and stuff like. And I'm still like. It's quite exciting though. I'm you sound like you're like me where you just like watching and learning about content on YouTube and stuff. Like I'll spend all day like watching another creator or even just like watching. I like watching like Logan Paul videos and stuff like that. Like I just think that like I like watching top tier content creators because they're top tier. Like and they just have
they know how they know how to like make you want to watch them again.
Oh yeah, like the reason why they're at the top is because they have a whole team of people who are very fucking good at what they do and they're doing a top tier job. And I'm like, watch their content and just try and figure out like how can I replicate some of this in my content? I want to be able to do as good a job. If I could do half a job, it would be fucking way better than probably what I'm doing now. Like so.
Yeah. Inspiration.
Inspiration.
That's what it is.
Where do you get like your inspiration from? You mentioned like Tails, like
Tails, Julian, like again, Harris Heller. He's taught me a lot about like the fundamentals of streaming. YouTube, just other people. Sometimes I've gotten inspiration for people that like I don't even follow. I don't even, you just watch somebody and you take a little piece of them with you and you try to make it your own. With like Tails, for example, I just. Like I feel like in some ways we had similar personalities, and like when I found her way later, when I started streaming, and I was like, "Yo, if this person can make it, like maybe I can too." And it was just so cool to see like how great she is and how successful she is, and how just to see somebody sort of be like. Do it so well. It felt really nice to see that, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're freaking amazing!" Like, you know what I mean? It was really cool to see. So, and then just other people learning and like really learning from your mistakes, and
Where do you like? What's your like next steps? Like, what is your I don't know. Do you have any sort of plan of like where you want to go? When are you next sitting down with the accountant? When have you set like a time frame of when you maybe want to reevaluate whether or not like you can do this? Like how long do you have to do what you're doing right now to make you feel comfortable making that step? Like what needs to happen?
Yeah.
Like it's a big decision.
I don't really know the answer to that.
You think about it a lot.
Because of how ambiguous and uncertain, and it's just how much money you make from Twitch is so like
Right, it's like that, isn't
You
it?
never
Like,
know. You never know. Like and also what if like something happens and like no one shows up tomorrow, or like
Yeah,
you do
yeah,
something, you know,
It's risky.
and you know, it just, you know, the anxiety behind that is so great that it's like, you have to be smart about making that decision. But next steps, continue to, you know, I experimented a lot with content this summer, and I feel like to a point where it was like a little too much. Like I was doing way too many different things.
Okay.
Which was good because I learned from that. But now we have like Modern Warfare coming out and stuff, and like Warzone 2, which I don't know when. So like we're all really looking forward to that. As you know, an original COD streamer, I you know, I play that for so long that it's like, and you know, are we going to be disappointed? I don't know, maybe. And then what are we going to do after that? Do I have a plan B? Probably not. But you know, I've just learned to go with the flow. And in terms of content, you know, I have a couple ideas where like I want to do those reaction videos off stream just to have more content. And then just, you know, I just feel like posting things that were happening on my stream feels a little bit truer to my community and the viewers that are already here, to see, because it's really cool. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, I was there," and it was like so cool to see that and how it was edited afterwards.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, keep showing up, keep being consistent, keep putting in the work, and. You know, I have TwitchCon coming up. I went to the TwitchCon in Amsterdam this summer.
Did you?
Now I have.
How did you find it?
It was great. I had a lot of fun, and it was cool going as a partner. I'm not gonna lie, because you know, you get to like and you get to like meet people, and you get to like meet people and talk to them, and you know, I got to, you know, meet with a lot of content creators on a level of like, okay, let's talk about our streams and like bounce ideas off of each other. It was cool to see how many like streamers I like inspired to have them participate more in their own Discord communities, which was really cool to see.
Oh, cool. That's why I asked earlier, because I know that it's one thing that lots of streamers don't do, and I'm always super curious of like the streamers that do it, like how they do it, why they do it, like how they manage it, and the benefits of it, because I think it's this like secret pocket of this thing that can actually be super powerful if you stay on top of it and just build a habit doing it, right?
For sure. 100%. Discord is so important, in my opinion. If you're a community-based streamer, if you're just doing it because you're like the #1 Call of Duty player and your entire content is gameplay and you're not really looking to make relationships with people, then teach their own. But it was really cool, and now I'm looking forward to going to the TwitchCon in San Diego, because we have like this huge meetup, and you know, gonna get to meet all these some of my favorite streamers, and gonna get to hang out with them hopefully, and it's just so cool.
Are you gonna meet any of your community? Are they going? Oh.
Yeah, a lot of them. We have about like between like 15 to 20 people going.
Oh shit!
So that's
nice.
gonna be huge.
That's really cool.
It's gonna be huge, and we have, like I've said, Saturday it's our day. We're just gonna hang out throughout the in the convention together, and then go out at night and just have a good time. And
have you met them before? Have you met some before?
Yeah.
You have, yeah.
We've had a few community members have come to. I live in Chicago, and then we had like a meetup here, and then you know, I've met just throughout all my travels. I met someone in when I was in Europe, a couple people, and we were just in Florida for one of my mods' birthdays, which is really cool. So we had a meetup there, just it's really cool. But you have to be careful how you do those meetups. You have to make sure that everything is controlled and you trust the people that are going. But yeah, I'm like, it's so exciting. It's like the best part, honestly. Like those meetups are just everybody, and just and the inside jokes that you've had on your stream, and just to see them in real life, it's like the best feeling ever.
It's strange as well because of COVID as well. Like it's like the first, like this year has been the first, like lots of people started streaming in COVID, right, and started building these strong community relationships in COVID, and this year has been the first year where like actually people have been able to meet other people that they've known for 2 years, but maybe have just never seen before, never never met in person, right? Like,
yeah,
sometimes
it's really, really, really cool. And I try my best to make it seem like, not make it seem, to make it be that way, where I am a part of the community. I'm not just like the streamer and like this freaking big deal or whatever it is. I'm just there to hang out, really.
Yeah.
And then content to me is very important, but I don't know. I enjoy that.
Do you have any other plans for types of content? Do you like on YouTube or on Twitter or Instagram? Like, what is like? Do you have another like any sort of focus on any one of those other platforms, like other than TikTok, or are they on
one
the
of the
back seat at the moment?
things, it's the reaction videos, really, just kind of like experiment a little bit more with that off stream.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet.
And then I do want to network a little bit more with other streamers. It's something that I don't really do. Like collabs on stream. Not networking. Like networking, like building friendships, relationships, not that part. Just, but it's scary, and it's scary asking another streamer, especially if they're bigger than you, being like, hey, do you want to play? You don't want to look like a loser, you know what I mean? And nobody wants that rejection. So that's something that I want to like grow out of my comfort zone a little bit, to start doing. Because we're like we're kind of like coworkers, you know what I mean? Like why not do it together if we have similar energy, if we have similar ideas, and then we get to, our communities get to meet each other and stuff like that, which would be cool. So that's something else that I'm planning on.
Nice. Well, shoot your shot, right? Like, I know it's cliche, but the worst they can say is no, right?
The worst
they can say is no, right? Yeah.
And just look like a loser.
Yeah, they say no, and then they say no, and then you're like, fuck's sake. Then you're annoyed.
They just leave you on red.
Yeah.
Never. They don't even respond. That's the ultimate.
But
okay.
I always get like, I don't like Twitter sometimes, because if you don't follow each other, you just go into their like other inbox, and then like, no one ever checks that, or like, well, I check it, but I know lots of people don't check it. Like, so it's like,
I mean, I'm sure most people check it. It's just, sometimes people just don't want to collab with you, and that's okay. They're not obligated to respond to you. They're not obligated. So like, I get it, but it's still scary. And as a human being, it's still gonna upset me a little bit. And I think everybody would feel the same, unless you're some sort of a robot and don't care about rejection, which would be kind of risky. I feel like.
I think like
going around asking everybody to collab.
It comes back to like what you said earlier about like some people, I think maybe might get the impression that you trying to take something from them. I don't know, like you're trying to leech their viewers, when no, it's like I've seen your energy and vibe. I think we match, and I think we could do something cool together that both our communities would love, like that. It's as simple as that. There's nothing else to it. It's like, let's create some content together,
exactly,
that we wouldn't be able to do on our own,
exactly,
and both our communities will love it. Like, I mean,
exactly,
that sounds so simple, like that. But
for sure,
some people maybe just don't see it like that. They always think that, I mean, there are a lot of bad actors, right? And you have to be careful. Like,
I think that's like I mentioned that earlier. I feel like people have been hurt in the past with people trying to. So I like don't know how I can. I don't know. I just try my best to be the nicest I can be, and show the people that I do actually care about them. If I do want to work together, you know what I mean? It's not like I really have the best intentions.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I have one last question. Like, it's kind of an advice piece that I've been playing around with different ones to ask, and based off your own answers, I'm curious to just get like a perfect modeled answer
Sure.
about how, if you were going to start streaming again tomorrow, like from like scratch, day zero, what would you do? Is there anything you would do differently? What would be your focus? Like, if you got, right, I've got 6 to 12 months at this. What should I focus on in the first 6 months to build the foundations and get me to like a good starting point, right, in streaming. I think a lot of streamers don't know how to do that. There's too much shit getting spread in the communities about how to do that.
I would say take the time to learn about like all the softwares, number one, like OBS or everything. Just knowing, know what the necessary components are to start streaming in terms of the quality of your stream. You know, you don't need the best camera, but your audio is the most important thing. How people hear you. Maybe like 40-30% of the people that watch you might not even be watching. They just might be listening. So like try to, think about those things. Make sure that you, like in the beginning, I also learned when I was doing my research that you should treat your stream like a radio, right? There shouldn't be a lot of pauses. I go into smaller streamers streams and it's just silence. They could be the funniest person, but I'm not seeing it at that moment. So it's like, how long are you going to make somebody wait for there to be content? Like, that's not content. Just sitting there, like, what is going on? Like, so what I did to combat that was I always played with my squad. So I always played with somebody. So even if I'm not saying something, other people were talking, and it was our dynamic was so great that it just worked. And then, we became like the squad, and then other people wanted to play with us, and it was just really cool. And it just, that's really important. Like, make sure that you do have something to talk about if you're going to stream, because if you don't, then maybe it's not for you. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just, and that's the hard truth to understand.
Yeah.
How much you have to be talking and how much you have to be thinking creatively all the time. It's not just playing the video game. It's way more than that. Yeah. It's not just playing your video game. Put yourself out on social media. I didn't create a Twitter account until like way later. Didn't start social media until way later. So start putting yourself out there. You can edit your own videos. They don't have to be amazing. People say like, oh, just post. Like, it doesn't matter what the content is. Kind of. Yeah. Sort of. I mean, if you can post, but only the good ones will do well, which is fine. Maybe then that'll just teach you what does well and that doesn't. That could be a learning experience in itself. And then, have a Discord. That's very important. And actually care about the people that are watching you. Ask them how they're doing. Don't treat them as viewers. Treat them as people that are watching you, people that care about you. I think that's probably, I should have started with that, to be honest. Just literally those people are spending time of their life watching you because they think you're funny or you're cool. Like, I don't know. Get to know them. And they'll come back.
Sweet. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That was a nice answer. That you summed it up so nicely. All the little things that I think you need to do. Like, but there's so many still. That's like what I'm trying to show people is like, there are so many different, you gotta think about this, you gotta think about this. Oh, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Oh, and then like, you need to make all of those better slowly over time. Like, prepare to have no life. Like, because you're competing against lots of people that are all doing this and more, and have more time than you. They have more money than you. They have a better setup than you. They're funnier than you. There's lots of things
that are better than you. So and you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with the fact that there's people that are doing everything much better than you.
Yeah.
So you just have to learn from them and do better.
Yeah, do better.
Don't give up.
Do better. Be better. It's just a constant learning process, I think.
It's streaming is very tough. It's way harder than my actual job and going to grad school and all that combined.
Yeah,
way harder.
9 to 5
not
is
streaming, content creation, I should say.
9 to 5 is easy.
Like, like I go and
get paid the same every month. The expectations are there. There's not lots of stress on you to over deliver. You're not getting paid by how popular you are in the office, like so.
No,
Well, I think we can wrap up there. That was a nice conversation. That was perfect. That was perfect. That was like everything I wanted to get out of it.
Good. I'm glad.
Every conversation has been very different and brought so much like different value just from speaking to just different people, different perspective, like everyone kind of not says the same thing, but in their own different way. And it's really nice to just hear people from different experiences, like, and different communities and different journeys have like evolved and given their take. Like it's, and I hope it's like been valuable, like to share with your community, and hopefully they'll be able to see. But you said you talk about lots of this stuff on stream as well. So maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I'll share this. Of course. I think this was great. And it just kind of like consolidated all the things that I do want to say. And, you know, like I said, I'm very open with everyone. So
yeah, sweet. Wow.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Before we go, like where can people find you? And what days and times do you stream? I
stream on Sunday. I changed my schedule so many times now because of going back to work. When I was like, I spiraled a little bit. Trying to find the perfect sweet spot.
3 days a week.
Yeah, 3 days. Well, it's Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, every week.
Sunday, Wednesday, Friday.
And I'm just xxYikes. You can
xxYikes.
pretty much find me.
Yeah, I put it in the description down below.
The social medias.
Sweet. All right. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.